Here we will draw the cerebellar arterial supply. First, draw 3 axial sections through the cerebellum at different vertical heights, inferior, middle, and superior. Next, associate each height with a brainstem level. We have already drawn the brainstem arterial supply elsewhere. The inferior cerebellum neighbors the medulla, the middle cerebellum borders the pons, and the superior cerebellum neighbors the midbrain. 3 arteries supply the cerebellum: the posterior inferior cerebellar artery, the anterior inferior cerebellar artery, and the superior cerebellar artery. First, show that the posterior inferior cerebellar artery supplies the entire inferior cerebellum. Then further indicate that it divides into lateral and medial branches, which supply the lateral and medial regions of the inferior cerebellum respectively. Next, show that the superior cerebellar artery supplies the superior cerebellum, and then further indicate that it divides into lateral and medial branches as well, which supply the lateral and medial superior cerebellum. Lastly, show that the middle cerebellum is supplied by all 3 cerebellar arteries. The anterior inferior cerebellar artery supplies the anterior middle cerebellum, the posterior inferior cerebellar artery supplies the posterior middle cerebellum inferiorly, and the superior cerebellar artery supplies the posterior middle cerebellum superiorly. Note that the anterior inferior cerebellar artery supplies a large portion of the middle cerebellar peduncle, and also note that it commonly gives off the internal auditory artery, which supplies the inner ear. This concludes our diagram.